Hello everybody, welcome back. I've got another Breath of Fire 3 character guide for you. So this time we're going to talk Momo. Momo is the third member of my preferred team. This is the team that I enjoy the most, but I use Momo mostly as a healer. So she is, honestly, she's just the best, they're the second best healer in the game. The only one that actually has her beat is Ryu himself. Heal, purify, rejuvenate, remedy. Remedy is, amazing. Cures stats effects. She gets this pretty early on. And then vitalize is really her best group heal. She's going to be able to restore medium wounds on all targets, and then restore as heavy wounds on one target. Amazing skills. Kind of one of the interesting things about Momo is she has amazing or just really good AP growth. Apparently, she's got really good, she's got a really good intelligence stat as well. So she's at 220 right now, and I have had her under Delonzo the entire time. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit, but let's talk her gear. Hang on. I'm sorry. I should finish up her abilities. The other great thing with Momo is she's an amazing buffer. I think she's actually got the best buffs aside from Ryu in the game. The only thing that Ryu has got to really beat on is shield. Wait, hang on. So he's got protect, barrier. Yeah, she's got protect. Okay, she doesn't have barrier either, I guess. I guess you could if you really felt like you need that, you could use that. I think who has barrier is that. Man, that might be Idrisil. But you'd have to give that to her as an enemy skill. But yeah. So anyways, what she doesn't have though, what she doesn't have in barrier, she makes up for with speed and might. So speed, obviously increasing agility. Shared with Ray, but she also does get the might, which raises power. Now, I'll be honest, I think that the might isn't as impressive because I like to use War Shout, which raises all targets' power, and actually very cheap, only 6 AP for that, versus the single target might costing 4. The rest of this stuff I don't really bother with. Silence, sleep, confuse, I generally don't bother because I just think that there's better things to do with turns. She does have Quake. That's another one of those deals though where and actually Ragnarok as well. I never use these for whatever reason. I think probably mostly because I'm conserving her AP for actually healing, and I let everybody else do the damage. Now, that said, these are pretty good. It's just, again, I'm usually using her, AP for other things. What I actually also set her up here with is I actually have her with steel. Now, this is kind of the way I set up though, and this takes a lot of work to set up the way I have. Ryu is actually my fastest member, which is tough to do, right? Because Ray has such good agility. So it takes a lot of work to get Ryu above Ray as far as speed goes. But the reason why I do this is because I want Ryu to act first in battle. I want him to use Charm, and then I usually use Ray to pilfer, and then I finish it off with Momo, and she gets the last steal. That's really just, I don't know that I would say that it's the most optimal way to do this. Probably the most optimal is actually to do Ryu with Charm, then Momo with Steel, or you can swap these two around, right? You could do, if Momo was really, really fast, you could have her Charm first, then Steel with Ryu, then Pilfer with Ray last. And I say that because Pilfer actually deals damage. And so if you're really trying to steal stuff, you don't really want to be, killing them off. The good thing, though, is that Pilfer is, the damage is significantly reduced. So generally speaking, you don't really have to worry about that Ray, unless you've put a ton of power on Ray. You're probably not going to be killing the things off that you're trying to steal from. But that is how I set that up. Next up is War Shout. Again, I use Momo as the buffer. So the ability to buff up Ryu and Rei is in my opinion, really great. And also then I've got her with influence as well. The reason why specifically with this combo you really want to do this is because influence breaks. So influence is for controlling the were-tiger, right? And unfortunately though, influence breaks if you've got that on somebody like Ryu. So again, let's just say that you transform Rei into were-tiger and you use influence on Ryu. If you then transform him into a dragon, the influence breaks. And so you do not want to have that really on Ryu. You could do that with, like, I don't know, his Kaiser form, right? If you transform into Kaiser then influence, I guess you could do that, but I don't think that that's the best person to have that on. Again, I just think it's Momo. The only problem though then that kind of brings up is that influence also breaks on death, and once you're transformed with Ryu and your Kaiser, you're probably not going to die, and so that's less of an issue with him. But anyways, that is how I've got that set up. Mind's Eye, so it says here raises to hit percent temporarily. Now I don't know, that's not that impressive, but Momo does have the worst accuracy of anybody in the game. Her accuracy is only 70, which I think translates to 70%. So she needs help there, and I'll talk about that when we get into the gear section. Next up is Benediction. I'll be honest, I never even used this. There was never a time where Momo was the only one left alive, but, I don't know. I guess there's a chance there for that Benediction may end up saving you. Pretty rare, but next up is Kiri. Kiri just destroys undead. This is an amazing skill. It's good throughout the entire game. You get it fairly late into the first half of the game, but it is an amazing skill, and it makes a really cool combination with the Gloom ability. If you put Gloom on something, it turns it undead, and as long as they're not immune to status effects, you can basically stick Gloom on an enemy and then one-shot them with Kiri. It's amazing. And then I've got Cure on her as well. I never even used this. I completely forgot that I had it, but it's an amazing ability. Very, very strong heal, but it also restores their status. And then Evil Eye I got at the end of the game that I never even used because, unfortunately, I got it at the end of the game. But that is kind of how I've got her set up for the enemy skills. I also actually had the Lava Burst as well. Momo does have a really, really good intelligence stat, so you can actually load her up with some more of the the offensive magic spells. But I'll be honest, I've said this a couple times, she's the healer buffer, and so there usually isn't a time where I'm going to be casting offensive spells with her. She's going to be buffing up the two big guns here, and kind of sitting back and letting them do the work. So that is Momo's abilities. Next up here is her equipment. Now, Momo has amazing weapons. They're very, very strong. They're strong immediately when you get her, and they stay strong throughout the entire game. They're devastating. They're so powerful. Early on, you get the Flame Chrism and the Ice Chrism, which allows you to do different aspect or elemental aspected damage. And so, like, if you're going through Mount Zublo, the Ice Chrism is amazing because you're adding a bunch of ice damage to everything. And then, if you don't want to do elemental damage and you just want to do, like stronger regular attacks, then you just use the ammo, and that's her starting weapon. The other great thing about all of hers is that they all have they're only one weight, which keeps her agility high because you don't ever have to worry about a heavy weapon weighing her down. She's also got some interesting stuff here, like the Ghostbuster. That's got the holy property. Flash shells makes it so that she can blind. I never even used this, but that's kind of interesting. Homing bomb is one of her best weapons. This basically sets her accuracy to 100%. That solves her accuracy problem. Again, that is actually Momo's greatest weakness, is her accuracy. So she hits like a ton of bricks, but she misses a lot. I generally sort of fix that early on with a combination of gear and her master. But This is a great weapon once you actually get it. Gas shells, confusion, sort of interesting. I don't know. Not really, honestly, my favorite ability or weapon. I'm sorry. And then, honestly, though, my favorite weapon for her, and yes, I said favorite, is actually the sleep shells. In order to really take advantage of the sleep shells, you want her acting last. And the reason why I say that is because let's just say she's first, right? And you attack with her, and then, oh, what do you know? Your next character immediately hits that target and wakes them up. Well, that didn't really do you any good, right? And also, depending on what's alive in combat, sleep shells can actually it's kind of a cheesy way of getting you extra turns. So if you finish a combat round and let's just say everything is sleeping, right? You manage to put everything to sleep. Well, now all your characters get an extra turn, and that can be pretty great, right? But the other great thing is just a sleeping enemy doesn't attack you, and so it's actually kind of a weird way of reducing the amount of damage that you're taking as well. So again, though, that it really helps to have Momo act last. Unfortunately, the way I set up, and especially this last playthrough that I did, Momo was actually very, very fast because I had her apprenticed under Delonzo, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But that's my breakdown on weapons. Again, I actually think Sleep Shells is the best. Probably second best here would be Homing Bomb. Her best, though, or most powerful, is the Atomic Bomb. And this is an amazing weapon as well. Unfortunately, though, you get this at the very end of the game. But this works really, really well with something like Shadow Walk. Shadow Walk does not miss. And so, again, that solves her accuracy problem. And then Shadow Walk is a critical hit, meaning she is going to hit really, really hard. And also because she's got a very, her weapons themselves are just very, very powerful. So Momo is amazing, and for a lot of reasons. But next up here is shields. I think, and I've said this in my other character videos as well, I think protectors are the best shield slot in the game. The reason why I say that is because I think that status effects are the most dangerous threats really to your party. It's your own party members annihilating each other, right? And so with confusion. So again, I think that any way to prevent status is the way to go. Next up here is the Silver Tiara. There is only one of these in the game, but you can duplicate this, or copy it, I should say, in the fairy shop. It gives you +2 to resistance to your psionics, status effects, and death. Psionics, are the debuffs in the game: the speed down, defense down, power down. Those aren't as important. But again, +2 to your defense, and then +2 to the death resistance as well is great. Now, the combination of protectors and the Silver Tiara means that you've got +4 to your status resistance. Keep in mind that a +6 means that you're immune, and you will not be affected by a status. Mist armor puts you at 6. The Ivory Charm, honestly, is over the top and not needed as far as status resistance goes. But again, +2 to status resistance here. This gets you at 4. Mist armor, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to really talk that much about the rest of the gear here. I guess maybe I would say that the second runner-up here for good helmets would be the UV glasses. And that's just generally the case with everybody as well. Just protection versus blindness. Mist armor. All right, so +2 to holy resistance, status, psionics, and death. Very similar to the Silver Tiara as far as the resistances that it gives you, but you also add the +2 to holy, which actually makes it so that when you get healed when you get healed, you get healed for more HP. So fantastic armor, most likely the best. One of the other kind of interesting things, though, that's really good is actually the Phantom dress. Diana's dress is good as well, but it's just not as good as the Mist armor. It's basically the same status bonuses, except it doesn't have the +2 to holy. Phantom dress you get earlier, The problem here is that you get a -3 to Holy. Now, you can actually offset that. I don't think that it's worth it, but I feel like it's kind of interesting to point it out that so this actually gives you complete immunity to death, status, and psionics, which is a very good combination. Again, though, the problem is you pay for it with a -3 to Holy, which means that if you try to heal yourself in combat, you'll actually take damage. Now, again, the way to offset that, though, would be to do something like the Ivory Charm, and you could add Handara as well. Ivory Charm will, reduce that by 2, so you only have the -1 to Holy. Handara will will add another 2, which actually puts you ahead, and so you'll actually be able to heal yourself and for just a little bit more. But again, that's at least an option. I don't really love this, but it actually is really good, and especially when you get it. +7 to death resistance, +7 to status. I mean, that's fantastic. And that actually allows you to, or that opens you up to some other things like, different, maybe Ares gloves or spiked gauntlets, something like that. So keep that in mind. But I do think that the mist armor is the best. Again, though Diana's dress is not as good for her. That is only really good for Nina. Next up, all right, Artemis Cap. So you get this almost right after getting Momo, and I, generally speaking, use this for her the entire game. Again, Momo's biggest issue is her accuracy. She's only got the 70, and the Artemis Cap adds 10. So it gives you an extra, 10% hit chance. Unfortunately, that does take up an accessory slot, but I do think that it's worth it. So this bumps her up to 80. And then what I usually do with her is now anyway, I apprentice her under Delonzo, and that gives her another 5%. So that brings her up to 85% accuracy. So very doable. Not too bad after that point. Sure, she'll still miss every once in a while, but really, really helps out with her accuracy problem. Last accessory here is the Ivory Charm. Now, I'll be honest, I think that, there's some redundancy here, though, with, like, status resistance, but the fact is the Ivory Charm is going to reduce all of her elemental damage, by just having that equipped. And I've said this in the other character guides as well, but there are just certain battles as well where you actually don't really need, an Ivory Charm, and you're probably going to be better off using, like, a Ring of Ice. Like, if you know that your enemy is going to be casting blizzard spells on you, we'll use the Ring of Ice. Again, oftentimes those battles, you're not really as worried about status resistance. But, let's just say you're running around, in between boss battles. This is a really solid setup. Protector, Silver Tiara, Mist Armor, again, complete resistance to status effects. You'll also get the added accuracy from the Artemis Cap. So that you can put stuff to sleep. and then you've got the Ivory Charm if you want to, restore a little bit of health while you walk and whatnot. So generally speaking, I think that that's the best setups here. But again, there are some things that I would recommend swapping out when needed. If you're running towards the end of Miria Station there and you're in the Drake area, right, you're going to be facing fire attacks and ice. So you just equip the Ring of Fire and the Ring of Ice, and don't worry so much about your accuracy because you just don't want to get killed, right? So you just kind of got to deal with that. But last up here, let's talk masters. In my opinion, there is only one master for Momo, and I know maybe this sounds a little weird, but it is Delonzo. Why is that? Well, because her accuracy problem. You get Delonzo basically immediately after you get Momo. It was a match made in heaven, and you'll get that, again, extra 5% accuracy by using Delonzo the entire game. That is how I built Momo this time. I did not change anything as far as her master goes for the entire game. I learned the Monopolize, the Charm, Steal immediately on Momo, and loved it. I think that it worked out so well. I was so happy with it. It's probably the first time I've ever done that, but I really liked it. That said, the -1 HP, honestly, not that big of a deal, and neither is the AP. It was, I just never really had an issue because Momo's AP is just so good, or her growth is so good the entire game that it wasn't a problem that she was losing, two on some levels. So, this is what she ended up as, and I don't think I used any AP increasing items the entire game. And I don't know. I really liked it. I thought that it worked out really, really well. I don't know who else would really, not like, I don't know that I even really thought about who else would be a good master for her. Let's also, let me see her agility. Now, her agility is probably off, though. I mean, yeah, 53. She wouldn't normally have this much agility. I definitely gave her some swallow eyes, but I do think, though, that agility is the most important stat, and for everybody, honestly. I love extra turns. I just think, statistically speaking, that's the way to go. But, I think that her natural growth definitely offsets the issues that Delonzo has. Also, the other great thing about Delonzo is you do get a little bit of dodge from her, which Momo, actually, I don't know that she benefits from the extra dodge. I think it's only 5, but I don't know if she benefits from that because I don't think she can naturally dodge, and so I don't know if the 5 actually does anything for her, if that makes sense. I guess I'll be honest, I never really paid attention. I don't know if she ever dodged anything in the entire game. I just don't remember. But also she does get the extra, I think it's like +5 to surprise, and so every once in a while you'll get an extra, or you'll jump the enemies, right, and get to act first. But yeah, again, that's my take on Momo's master. I think that she doesn't need anybody else. The only other thing that I would maybe recommend would be somebody like Emitai, because she's going to get the extra, the AP and the intelligence. The defense reduction, I'm not so wild about, and she certainly doesn't really need the power, to be completely honest. Maybe a Diaz would work as well. Again, the 3 AP would be probably pretty good for her. The intelligence, she's already got really, really good intelligence, but I'm not so worried about that. But and the power, I don't know. Don't really care about that for her, but the agility would be nice as well. So that said, probably Mary Leap would probably work out pretty well also. +2 agility, the 1 HP, or the -1 HP power and defense, probably not that big of a deal for her. And then, I don't know, Latin is always, I want to say solid, but really after you've leveled, he would work as well, right? Because once you're into the 40s, 50s, you're really not leveling anymore. And so, the HP, AP reduction doesn't matter when you're getting the +3 flame, 1 to status and 1 to death resistance. But honestly, I doubt that I would even recommend that. Honestly, I just have to say, I think the best way to go is just Alonzo in the entire game. So that is it. That is Momo. I absolutely love Momo. She did a lot of the heavy lifting in my most recent playthrough. I used her for the Contest of Champions. I annihilated everything with her. I used her to steal. I went back into the tower a little bit, stole some life shards to kind of buff up Ryu, because I didn't level Ryu basically at all until his fight with Gar in Angel Tower. So again, I think that Momo is fantastic. A great healer. A great buffer, and then on top of that, again, very, very strong. And I just think that the best thing to do with her is to reduce her penalty to accuracy by using the Artemis Cap and Delonzo herself. So that is it. That is Momo. Again, can't tell you how much I love her. Probably, definitely my at least 3rd favorite person. But all right, that is it for this one. As always, hope the guide was helpful, and thank you for watching.